Kyle Brink is a Wizards of the Coast executive that went on the Three Halfling podcast and talked about the OGL, which I'm glad they walked it back. It was something they did that they didn't have to do in the beginning, but now that it was given to us, to try and take it back to the degree they did was ill-advised and should have been called out. But he also made a comment about people like him leaving the hobby. Now, I'm going to take it as a misspeak, but I'm also not going to let him walk away from it without hearing it out. When I was younger, I was giving a speech in college speech tournaments, specifically on D&D, and I read an article about a young man who was on the verge of ending his own pain. This young man was seeking mental help, and he eventually joined a D&D group. He found a girlfriend through that group. He made friends through that group, and that greatly helped him out of his depression. I don't know what checkbox he checked, and I don't think it matters. Hopefully it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, if you're sitting down that table across from me, regardless of your checkbox, you're part of my party. And if a monster attacks my party in the game, I'll hit him with my sword. If somebody attacks my party out of the game, I hope that we can back him up. I hope we do back him up. And I hope it's not another member of the party that makes us choose sides. And if we do, I'm going to choose with the side who hopefully is not attacking somebody because of what box they check. As for myself, I'm not always great at interacting with people. Sometimes it can be exhausting, especially at work. But one of the things that helps me get through hard times is both my church, which I try not to preach on this channel, and D&D, or role-playing games in general, but it's much easier to find a Dungeons & Dragons game. I get to interact with people. We're having this shared experience. And through that shared experience, we can share our real lives, find out about each other. And it's a much easier, more relaxed setting that I'm used to dealing with. And it helps me in the same way that young man I was describing in the article was saved by Dungeons & Dragons. So when you say you want certain groups of people to leave and you're comparing them to you, either you're a toxic person who should severely re-examine themselves if you don't want you in D&D, or you're talking about excluding people based off of something that if they checked a different box, you wouldn't be excluding them. You misspoke, you should apologize, and you should recognize that many people in your community are individuals who D&D, as much as it is a hobby and a fun activity, is also how people find ways of interacting in a world that they often feel like they have to walk on eggshells just to get through life. And they can have fun. They can be the heroes of their own stories. They can stand up against forces that in real life, they just kind of have to take on the chin. So, Mr. Brink, if you see this, I hope you rethink the way you said that. I hope you understand what D&D means to a lot of people, and that you don't have to that there's not a maximum number of seats in all the land. A game may only have room for 5 or 6 people, but the game itself can be for everybody.